Is it worth upgrading from the Galaxy S23 Ultra to the S24 Ultra when we strictly look at photo and video quality? When looking at camera specs, the S24 Ultra swaps the x10 periscope zoom camera that was available on the S23 Ultra with a new x5 50 megapixel camera, which has led to different opinions as it appears to be a downgrade. We'll get to that in a moment. The other cameras, including the selfie camera, remain similar. When taking macro shots, I don't feel comfortable saying that one smartphone is better than the other. I like both results, and I don't think the S24 Ultra is offering anything new as far as macro photography is concerned. Ultra-wide-angle shots look nearly identical. Once we switch to the x1 main camera and also take advantage of digital zoom, we can see that there is probably a slight difference in how both smartphones apply adjustments. But both smartphones simply capture great photos, and I wouldn't say one smartphone is better than the other through 3x zoom. Thanks to the new 50 megapixel x5 camera of the S24 Ultra, the S24 Ultra looks brilliant all throughout, beating the S23 Ultra, while the S23 Ultra has to rely on digital zoom up until its x10 periscope camera kicks in. You can download the entire comparison. I'll leave a Google Drive link below and encourage you to zoom in and do a detailed comparison yourself. And once we get to anything above x10 zoom, the S23 Ultra actually beats the S24 Ultra if we look very closely. As we speak, the zoom quality above x10 zoom on the S24 Ultra is a downgrade, and the S23 Ultra manages to retain more detail despite Samsung promising x10 optical quality zoom on the S24 Ultra. And perhaps the upcoming software upgrade for the S24 Ultra will address and improve the zoom performance, so let's wait before we draw a final conclusion. While anything above the 10x zoom quality of the S24 Ultra is inferior to that of the S23 Ultra, the S24 Ultra's super telephoto capabilities do come with an advantage over the S23 Ultra, which is low light performance thanks to the wider aperture of the S24 Ultra's 5x camera. In order to compare the dynamic range of the S23 Ultra and the new S24 Ultra, I used Expert RAW and captured the same scene with both smartphones side by side. To push the raw DNG files of both smartphones, I'm applying a preset that opens up the shadows all the way and somewhat brings down the highlights. Oddly, the way the dynamic range is falling apart on the S24 Ultra is worse than on the S23 Ultra. We can witness the same thing occurring in another example. I don't necessarily see one smartphone having a greater dynamic range than the other, but the color noise occurring on the S24 Ultra is a very strong green noise that makes the image look awful when opening up the shadows all the way. So in conclusion, the S24 Ultra does not have an improved dynamic range over the S23 Ultra, which also means that the iPhone 15 Pro Max is superior than the S24 Ultra when it comes to raw dynamic range. Check out my detailed S23 Ultra versus iPhone 15 Pro Max comparison. Both smartphones produce smooth 4K 60 FPS video. At 5x zoom, the S23 Ultra relies on digital crop and doesn't look as good at this focal length, whereas the S24 Ultra produces great optical 5x zoom quality thanks to its new camera. And at 10x zoom though, the S24 Ultra keeps up pretty well with the S23 Ultra's periscope lens despite relying on digital zoom. If I had to choose one smartphone for video, I guess I would have to choose the newer S24 Ultra, as you're also able to switch between the different cameras while recording, and on the S23 Ultra you can't do that. I captured 8K 30 FPS footage with both the S23 Ultra and the S24 Ultra. As always, my smartphone camera lenses were cleaned for optimal results. The S23 Ultra captured a warmer image and appears to be processed with a little bit more sharpness than the S24 Ultra's 8K video. The S24 Ultra appears slightly brighter and cooler, but I don't necessarily see one smartphone's 8K video having better or worse dynamic range. And given the tremendous resolution of the S24 Ultra's new 5x camera, the S24 Ultra can also capture 8K video at 5x zoom, which is something you can't do on the S23 Ultra. So, is it worth upgrading from the S23 Ultra to the S24 Ultra when we strictly look at photo and video quality? What do you think? The S24 Ultra definitely has its improvements over the S23 Ultra, and I greatly appreciate the telephoto low light performance of the S24 Ultra. But when it comes to overall image quality and raw dynamic range performance, I don't really see an improvement over the S23 Ultra. It mostly all feels like a software upgrade over the S23 Ultra. But I look forward to another detailed comparison once the software update for the S24 Ultra comes out, and also with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, so definitely subscribe to not miss.